off against Vesna. Baskonia surged back big time. We talked to Ricky Hickman of EA7 Milano and look ahead to all of next week's games. It's coming up right now on the Sweet 16 for Sweet 16. Tune in.
Hello and welcome to the Sweet 16th episode of Sweet 16, an open look on Euroleague basketball. As always, I'm Moshe from Team Scout. With me, my great friends and co-host, both Emmett and Aris. Hi guys, how you doing?
Good morning from Dublin, where we actually finally have spring here. It's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not warm, but it's not absolutely freezing anymore. It's great.
And hello from sunny Athens. We're waiting for the end of the regular season and we're already gearing up for the Euroleague playoffs.
So Emmett, as you said at the beginning, we are expecting quite some great stuff in the intro, but can you just elaborate a bit more just before we move on to our very rightfully, maybe, so-called 4-minute warning?
Yeah, definitely 4 minutes on the warning, as always. I don't know what anyone who watches this show is talking about saying we go longer than 4 minutes. What planet are you guys from? But we have some great stuff ahead for you this week. Obviously, we're going to look back at all last week's games. We're not going to give too much into Real's Vest, despite Real making history, but we will give it a bit of a look. The big one for us, obviously, was Baskonia getting the job done, and obviously the blinking of the other playoff contenders, which we'll get through all of that. And big feature head this week, of course, because Moshe met a guy who was pretty popular for a few years in Tel Aviv and still has a lot of people who like him there. Ricky Hickman, that interview coming up later in the show. And of course, we'll be looking ahead to all of next week's games. So with that, it's time to get on to the aptly, completely accurately, and I don't know what you're talking about, named 4-minute warning. 4 minutes to get through all the action that just happened in Euroleague. It's the 4-minute warning. And as ever, the 4-minute warning isn't quite 4 minutes, but, it's that time of season where there's too much to talk about, folks. So maybe let's call it the 4x4 minute warning in this case.
And we will try to keep it short and keep it tight for the next 4 minutes, starting with a game against Fenerbahce. I believe, guys, that the real story here is that Baskonia managed to get an important win that keep them out of harm's way until for now in the race for the playoffs. In theory, even Baskonia is not safe yet, but winning on the road at Istanbul against Fenerbahce is a great way to secure your spot. And it also demonstrates that Fenerbahce, without Kostas Loukas and without Ekpe Udo, has its own issues. They may have a deep roster, they may have many solutions, but the quality of those two players, their playmaking, the playmaking ability of Loukas and the defensive ability of Udo cannot easily be replaced. Having said that, I also think that Fenerbahce is the only team that approaches the regular season of the Euroleague kind like the regular season of the NBA. I believe that Fenerbahce in a way is content to stay among the top four and doesn't really wants to do something more at this stage, because they know that from the first until the fourth position, the prize is the same. You get the home court advantage to the playoffs, and then you get to the final four where in 2 games you can make it or break it. So they don't have to push themselves right away. At this point, they want to be ready for the playoffs, and that's why they decided to rest Udo, to have the surgery of Loukas in order to have them up and going after the end of the regular season.
Yeah, just pretty much ours is spot on. Like, Fener may be one of the few teams who realise that, top four is enough when it comes to what they want in the playoffs. But what stood out to me here was just how much Fener seem to be leaning on Bogdanovic so much lately in general in terms of the scoring side of the game. You look at sort of the guys you expect to be putting up those numbers, like your Bobby Dixons of this world, and with those holes they've got there at the moment, with those injuries, it just seems like the likes of Bobby can't quite get their own game in, which, is definitely a concern. A little bit disappointed, I gotta say, although not too surprised by Anthony Bennett. Probably the first game with this level of pressure for him coming into it. And as a result, give him a week. That's a short version. And my guy Ahmet Veriolu, mainly because his name is literally the Turkish version of my name. I need more from you. I need more. So yeah, that's basically how I saw that one. Moshe, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'll go just with the table that we've talked about like a couple of weeks ago. Baskonia, obviously Fener was missing a few key players, but I think that this win was very important for Baskonia, not just in terms of getting the W, but in terms of confidence because they've been through a very rough patch, in recent games without key players with Shingelia and Barniani, and throughout the season actually struggling with a few disturbing injuries that were not serious enough, but still, kind of annoying. So they went into they went to Istanbul. They've met a team that were 10 wins, 2 losses at home. They managed to give them the third loss of the season at home. So it means something. But besides morale and getting themselves right now at the 5th spot in the table, I think that's pretty much sums it all, guys. I mean, there's no point of saying things over and over again, especially when you and Aris were so right. So I think there's no better time than to move on to another court in Istanbul where Efes got schooled pretty much, and that is using not very harsh words. What I liked about this game was simply the fact that Coach Trinchieri, my man, the wizard, kept changing the solution on the pick and roll defense against Efes, and they could not just adapt to that situation throughout the game. And Efes kept trying to do the same thing, and it ended up costing them dearly. Luckily enough for them, Dachka couldn't hold their game, couldn't hold that much into the game in Piraeus. But what were your thoughts, Aris? First with FS Bamberg, and then obviously, if possible, about the Oli Dachka game.
First of all, I have to say that you just can't underestimate Bros Bamberg. Yes, they are probably out of the playoffs, but they have lost many games in details, and if they had a little bit more luck, maybe the situation will be quite different for them now. So it's obvious that Anadolu Efes, at least that's what I think, kind of underestimated their opponent. On the other hand, the game against Olympiacos was pretty much a pretty hard situation, no matter how you look at it for Darüşşafaka. The fact that they tried to make a comeback and they almost did it against Piraeus, it's certainly a badge for them. But on the other hand, Olympiacos needed this game in order to secure its position among the top 4. So they wouldn't give away any presents to Darüşşafaka. They were at full strength after quite some time, and I really couldn't see how Darüşşafaka could keep up with them until the end. They did try to keep up, and Bradley Wanamaker was amazing, but that's about it. I think that the situation in Darüşşafaka reveals that the team needs a little bit more of experience and playmaking in the backcourt. That's the main issue, because they have a lot of talent in the front line which cannot be put into good use, because the team is not ready yet to perform in a very high level, certainly in 5-on-5 situations.
Oh, that is so true. I mean, Wanamaker, first of all, having probably, I think, maybe his best season yet, even better than the one before we saw him play in the Euroleague. This game was, Olympiacos were just too good. I mean, I know that Darüşşafaka managed to, bounce back somehow to, not somehow, they fought back, but, they managed to cut down the lead to like 4 points, I think it was, and at that point, it was done. I mean, you knew that the clutch guys that Olympiacos has will get the job done. And speaking of clutch, Emmett, we've seen another great performance in a way by Žalgiris beating Pau. The game was at the Žalgiris Arena. Besides that, it took us 25 games to get our first 3 playoff spots. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, starting off with Zalgiris, because I actually watched that game in a pub in Dublin. Yes, the pleasant surprise of games in Euroleague being shown in pubs in Dublin. That doesn't happen very often, so it was great. And I came in, though, just at the end of the first quarter, which, for those of you who don't recall, basically saw Panathinaikos kind of taking Zalgiris to the woolshed. And I was thinking, okay, this isn't the greatest game to watch in the pub. And then, of course, Zalgiris came back and got the W because Sarunas Jaskevicius is just on a mission to prove that he is the most valuable coaching prospect in Europe right now. But all seriousness, yeah, great performance by Zalgiris. Saras is doing a fantastic job with them. And yeah, you look at that and the playoff situation as well, Moshe. I was thinking that actually as well while watching the games last week. It's like, we're finally mathematically reaching a point where teams are in the playoffs, because we've been talking a lot about how long it was taking for teams to be mathematically eliminated, but that's not as surprising as it is that, like, you know, no one just ran off and got like the requisite number of wins to be uncatchable from ninth basically so early. So yeah, interesting enough. I suppose the only other really stuff to look at this week from the last week's games are the crazy performance of one team, one player. The one team, Real Madrid, who had 6 guys in double digits as they ran up 63 first half points against Crvena Zvezda, and they had 2 other guys with 9 points as well. So that's 8 players on or near double digits. And of course, they end up winning that game by 30, 98-68. And so Real, yes, when they're hot on offense, they are kind of unstoppable. And I suppose the other game to really discuss is Sheshka keeping their stuff together, which was, you know, got the win over Gala, took 1 quarter to really do it. Was like 1 big quarter out of 4 to get it done. And Nando, once again, going off in a sort of, I don't think I'd question if he's played enough to be MVP caliber this year. Like, you know, like that matters. It's so fan voting heavy, it's going to be irrelevant. Yeah, so on that, though, we're getting on to one other game that happened last week. A game which Moshe was at. But before that game, Moshe met somebody who Maccabi fans are very familiar with. So here's Moshe meeting Ricky Hickman. The Coach's Playbook, where we look at the strategies that worked and that need to work in the coming weeks in Euroleague.
So, Ricky, first of all, welcome to Sweet 16, the podcast, videocast show for the EuroLeague games. As you can see, guys, behind us, there's the guys from Milan doing some stretching. Ricky, how is it to be back here in Tel Aviv, in this gym?
You know, I got a lot of great memories being here, and it's always good to come back to see familiar faces and the people that, you know, I was around for 2 years, so, you know, it's always good to come back.
Did you ever expect you were going to come here to this arena wearing red?
You know, you never know in basketball where, you know, it's going to take you, so you don't, sometimes in the moment you might be wearing, you know, this jersey here, and then 2 years later you come back with the rival, so I mean, you never know.
You know, obviously you had a lot of great memories here, one of them being winning the title in 2014. Can you share with us a few good memories from that year?
I mean, I have nothing but great memories for, you know, my years at Maccabi, especially that year. You know, the team, we still to this day all talk together. We have great relationships. Families know each other well, and you know, those are just moments that I'll always carry with me for my basketball career.
You know, this season when you joined Milan, you started good. You were 4 wins, 3 losses, but then you managed to go into a 10 games losing streak. What happened there exactly?
You know, different things. You know, it's not just one thing. You know, when you lose 10 games in a row, you can never just point it at one thing. But I just don't think that, you know, we was prepared to sustain the level. You know, each game in Euroleague is a little, you know, different than your domestic league. So you have to be prepared for a tough game every game, almost like playoffs. And you know, if you don't approach it that way, you know, it could be a tough season.
You know, I wanted to ask you, where do you see Milan? Like, obviously EuroLeague has 16 teams in the highest level of competition, and you know, putting this season aside because some things happened, like during which, where do you see Milan, like realistically, within all these 16 teams?
I think, Milan's got a lot of big potential to be one of the top, 8 teams easily. I mean, I think there was a lot of games we definitely had a chance to win this year that, obviously given the change, we could have had a better chance to make to the Final 8. But, I definitely think it's a team that can, compete to be in the top 8 for sure.
You had another member of this team at the beginning of the season, Alessandro Gentile, and he left the team. He joined Panathinaikos, and now he's out of Panathinaikos. What's your intake on this entire situation with a former teammate?
I don't know. I don't really know too much information about it, but I wish him the best. He's still a friend, and I hope he finds a great situation for him.
Did it surprise you guys when you heard that it happened? Like, is it something?
I mean, it's basketball. You never know. I mean, so many things, and could take place, so you never know.
Ricky, you made it to the Final Four a couple times, obviously, and you won, even with Maccabi. Looking down the road at what's ahead, what does the future holds for Ricky Hickman?
Right now my focus is to finish the Euroleague season the best way possible for our team. Hopefully we can, win as many games as possible. And then after the Euroleague season is over, obviously the focus is to focus on the Italian championship and try to win that title.
So yeah, there were a few good minutes, a few good moments there. I can tell you right now, that were not included in the interview, but a few interesting minutes though. I got to say, with a great person, a great player that was obviously very loved by the fans in Tel Aviv. What did you think about it? About what he had to say?
Yeah, you could tell Ricky clearly loves his time in Tel Aviv. Like, first that was particularly the EuroLeague title season, that was a really, really special coming together of a unit, sort of where Maccabi, as those who in Israel watching don't need to be reminded them, but Dave Blatt was under some serious pressure mid-season over whether this was going to be a good season or not for Maccabi, and it ended up winning everything. So he did all right out of that. He ended up getting some job in the NBA last I checked on the back of it. So Ricky, just seems like a really friendly dude. Like, you could get that across in the interview. Like, even with the Gentile thing, when he was evading the question, he was evading it in as polite a way as one can evade it. So, seems like a nice dude.
And you know what? There are two kind of players from the US that usually make it in Europe. Some of them are stars at the college level, and for some reason they don't get the opportunity that they would like to have in the NBA. That will be the situation, let's say, with Keith Langford or Malcolm Delaney from last season. And there is the other kind of guys, the guys like Kyle Hines and of course Ricky Hickman. And the two of them, as I know, are very close friends who tried to make it at the college level. They did more than good on small name colleges, and they came to Europe and grinded the way from small teams from countries where basketball is just an afterthought, where the teams are called professionals, professional only name, and not they are not really they can't really be considered as professional teams. So they go step by step, making their names in Europe and reaching the top level. I believe that the story in general of Ricky Hickman and how he propelled himself to the stardom, starting from the bottom of Europe, it's something amazing.
Well, I got to say, to just summarize it all in a very nice way, I think the moment that I like the most about that interview is, that part when I told him, did you ever expect to come back to Tel Aviv wearing red? Because as you guys know, red is the colors of Hapoel, and they are not very well welcomed, in terms of the Maccabi fans.
Well, yeah, Moshe, that's absolutely right. Although I will point out the one time I've been to the arena in Tel Aviv, Hapoel were playing and Hapoel won, so maybe I'm just bringing bad luck wherever I go to EuroLeague teams. And, well, a lot of teams are hoping I don't bring that bad luck this week as we look ahead to the games of the week.
The past is in the past. What's done is done. It's time to look forward. Here's our games of the week.
Okay, so we start off the games of the week with a couple of games, pretty much same situation. One team wants to keep their fighting chance alive. That is Žalgiris, that have proved that they have a lot to offer in terms of where we're going at. Efes still want to keep being ranked within the first 8 teams. They will meet Maccabi, which is coming, with a few absences, without a chance, as people would say, not mathematically, of course. There is another game within the trio of the status quo, as we were talking about in recent episodes. That is obviously Darüşşafaka Barcelona, which is a bit more spicy game. Barcelona are coming without Justin Dolman, who got injured yet again. Emmett, how do you see his absence in this very, very much important game?
I see it as pretty much absolutely necessary to Darüşşafaka, to be honest about it, Moshe, because they need every break they can get right now. They've, they're essentially 2 games behind Efes, because of course if they pull back they still have to get a game ahead because of the tiebreak situation, and now they have Žalgiris breathing down their necks. Žalgiris I can't really make the same reference for because they're playing Unix, who both wear the same colours, but Darüşşafaka is a team wearing green on St. Patrick's Day. I'm leaning towards them, but I'm pretty certain Aris has more logical reasons to what'll happen in this game.
Well, I totally agree with you on the fact of the St. Patrick's Day and the Irish luck. I'm not so sure that this applies to Istanbul, however, and this will be a very tricky game because Barcelona simply has to win anything they can. At this moment, Barcelona is under fire. The roster is under fire. It's not a secret that many of the players stayed in Barcelona because they were bound by contract to do so, and they will be evaluated no matter what Barcelona gets in the end, and the odds are that they're not a favorite to get something big. So they have to prove something in every game, and this applies first and foremost to Tyrese Rice, who was added in order to be the leader of the team. Barcelona was almost built around him, and he has to prove in every game that he's capable to deliver. So it will be a more than tricky game, and the point is that the pressure for Darüşşafaka is even bigger. Is even bigger because Darüşşafaka is making a playoff push, and they have also to win everything they can. This, in theory, should be a game that Darüşşafaka will have been able to say that okay, we are playing against Barcelona, so we don't have to win this. This is not the case anymore. This is a must-win game for them, like every game from now on their schedule. So I expect to see a really big effort from Darüşşafaka, and I expect to see Coach Blatt trying to pressure Barcelona in order to take advantage of their short rotation due to the injuries that they have. And yes, I believe that Darüşşafaka, no matter if it's St. Patrick's Day or I don't know what holiday may be in Istanbul, I believe that Darüşşafaka has a very good chance of getting this win.
Okay, so as we all agree on Efes, Dačka, and Žalgiris, I'd say, Aris, your thoughts about Panathinaikos Real Madrid game? Because this game, even though Madrid have already secured their qualification to the playoffs, this game has a lot to offer, especially with Panathinaikos losing a bit of grounds.
It will be a great game, and I think that the fact is here that Panathinaikos is the team that has more to win than Real Madrid. Real Madrid is really hot. You have seen it also in the Spanish League game against Barcelona, and it's a game that has implications on the matchups of the playoffs. if we consider that Panathinaikos is out of the woods and they have a really good chance to be in the playoffs, and that's the case. Uh, and the fact that after the situation with Gentile, Panathinaikos is trying to clear out the roles in the rotation and play much more streamlined basketball compared to what the team expected to do at the start of the season. We don't see Panathinaikos try to run. We see Panathinaikos trying to play in half court, and this is quite the opposite of what Real Madrid likes to do. So it will be a real test for Panathinaikos, and maybe set for things to come in the playoffs, because it's really possible to see Real against Panathinaikos also in the playoffs.
And yeah, like as a single game, this should actually be interesting in its own right. But I think Aris touched something well. Like it's an interesting pairing in a one-off. It could be a more interesting pairing in a best of five. Even if, say, Real swept Pau in three games, I could still see it being three very different games each time. So, yeah, no, definitely one to keep an eye out on. And another one we're keeping an eye out on, of course, this week is one of the other teams going for the top overall spot, CSKA Moscow, who travel to Baskonia. Baskonia finally getting out of the slump last week with a very big, well, not in terms of margin, but in terms of morale boosting win over Fenerbahce. And I suppose Moshe, like, you're still going to obviously, bet on CSKA purely on talent, I'm guessing, but for Baskonia, it was as much a case of just getting that W against a serious team to remind people what they can do.
Well, first let's talk about what happened last time these two teams met. The game was held in Moscow. It's like Milos told Shane Larkin, show me what he can do. Okay, is that it? Now I'm going to show you what I can do. And that was pretty much it. I mean, CSKA smoked Baskonia in the second half. But I think this game has the potential of being a lot different. Obviously, CSKA can go for the win. They need another great game, especially by their maybe best 1-2 punch in Europe. Obviously, I'm talking about Milos and Dekolo together. I'd like to see that. But on the other hand, Baskonia, they need this win much more than CSKA. So I'm saying it's an open match with an advantage. I would go with CSKA in my opinion. Aris?
The situation with CSKA remains the same. They have said it in the past, and they are still saying it in Moscow, that the real season for CSKA Moscow starts in the Final Four. Maybe in the playoffs, but it's a given that CSKA will reach at least the top 8, and it will be quite a surprise to see this version of CSKA out of the Final Four. So no matter what happens, CSKA is in a strange position that they are expected to win every game, and even in the case that they lose a game, it's not such a big deal, because they have already qualified, and they will probably not lose the home court advantage. So this is an opportunity for Baskonia. This is an opportunity to get an important win that will secure their place in the top 8 in the playoffs. And on the other hand, CSKA Moscow doesn't really has any kind of pressure at this point. Still, CSKA is a much better team, and they are trying to get Milos Teodosic back into his groove. So if this is the game that Milos plays according to his real abilities, then Baskonia, I don't think that they have a real chance.
And speaking of teams playing to their abilities, that's the one thing Fenerbahce hoping Broza Bamberg don't do in their game this week against the Germans, because Bamberg, mathematically, just about at the absolute fringe, still alive. But more importantly, they're just taking every game like they think they can win it. And, Fener still have their injury issues, which you brought up earlier in the show. Normally you should say this is a straightforward W for Fener. but Bamberg away is never an easy game. Moshe, I mean, like, my brain says Fenner, but like the dark evil part of my brain says, yeah, don't trust them too much in this game either.
Oh, you could not be more right about this one. It's first of all, Freak City, uh, Bamberg. They've shown that this year they are not your home team, your best home team to say the least. With only they had only 6 games they've won at home, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, yeah, there was that. But all in all, whenever you're playing Bamberg at home, it's very hard. Besides that, last time these two teams met, they were just one good possession away from winning the game in Istanbul. So it can go either way. My man of the game that I would like to pinpoint as extremely important for Bamberg is none other than Nick Melly. With him right now, it looks like they might have that advantage in that specific position, because with him, maybe trying to set the offense from his side, maybe try and post up, then go stretch the floor from the perimeter. It can go in a very interesting way. As you said, it looks like you have to say Fener. You have to go blindly with Fener, but I cannot rule out Bamberg. I would not be surprised if they manage to make Fener bleed, so to speak. Aris, how do you see this game? As what can happen in Germany?
Considering the fact that Fenerbahce really has a motive and they have also Udo back, I believe that they will try to make things happen. They won against Galatasaray for the Turkish League on Sunday, and they did it without feeling any real pressure. Even though Galatasaray started the game greatly, Fenerbahce knew that time was on their side, and they had the options and the ways to make the game lean on their way. The fact that Bruce Bamberg at this point plays only for their pride is what makes them real dangerous. But I believe that Fenerbahce is going to prevail, because this is a win that they really need. They want to be at least on the top 4, and if they don't get it, they might be in trouble.
So that leads on to our last 2 games of the week, which we're just going to give a quick look at. Milano hosting Zvezda and Oli hosting Gala. For me, these are pretty straightforward. Zvezda win, Oli win. Moshe, any reason to argue that?
Oh, and without a doubt, I cannot argue that one. I will say, however, that regarding other games, yeah, danger is everywhere, so please beware. And yes, easy Zvezda, well, maybe not as easy, but without a doubt, Zvezda, Oli, Aris, to you?
I think that this is a question of motive, and both Olympiacos and Crvena Zvezda have to get those 2 wins, so they will probably get them because they are in a much better situation than their opponents, and they don't need at this point to throw away games.
And well, that's it once again for another episode of Sweet 16. Before we go and give you all our contact details, personally from here in Dublin, with a Carl I'm going off outside, I want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day this coming Friday, and be sure to enjoy it the way all Irish people do. Interpret that whatever way you like. From Dublin, as ever, you can find me on ballineurope.com, facebook.com/ballineurope, and on BIE_basketball on Twitter. Moshe, Aris?
And also I'm signing off from Athens. Go to a Euroleague game, you never know what will happen, and you will have probably a great time. And in most arenas, unlike the US, they serve alcohol, so you can also have a great St. Patrick's Day on Friday. You can find me on Eurohoops on the social media channels of the portal, and also at rbarkas on Twitter, and as Aris Andreas Barkas on Facebook.
Well, I will start off by saying, just drink responsibly. It is St. Patrick's Day, so honestly, wishing everyone to enjoy the Euroleague game, St. Patrick's Day, and You know, it's been great as always. It was sweet. It will be sweeter down the road. We promise you that. And with that being said, you can always find me, as always, at Team Scout on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at MosesB1, and I am Team Scout. You know, a great week, great weekend of Euroleague games ahead of us. Wishing you all to enjoy. Have great time. Until next time.
Sweet 16. An open look on
Euroleague basketball.
Covering 16
EuroLeague teams.
Gonna be sweet. Sweet 16.